What would you do if the peace of your home was shattered by a vengeful spirit? One that wasn't just haunting the hallways, but was waiting for a child to be born so it could steal it away into the darkness? Imagine the sheer terror of a mother, hearing the cries of her newborn in the dead of night, only to find the cradle empty and a terrifying, ghostly figure standing in the shadows, holding her baby tight. This isn't just a story about a haunted house. It is a story of desperation, of a family trapped in a jungle prison, and of a ghost named Mimin who suffered the ultimate tragedy and wants the world to pay. Tonight, we dive deep into the heart of the Indonesian jungle for a story that will chill your blood. Welcome to the terrifying tale of Romadinaz Babak. The air in the house was thick, suffocating, as if the very walls were holding their breath. Outside, the jungle was alive with the screams of cicadas and the rustling of unseen things, but inside, the silence was heavier, pregnant with dread. Little did this family know they had just moved into a place that wasn't just abandoned. It was cursed. And on the darkest night of the month, Kliwon Friday, the boundary between the living and the dead would dissolve. We see a pregnant woman, terrified, her eyes darting around the room as shadows lengthen. We see a young boy, his curiosity leading him to the edge of the abyss. And we see a ghost of woman wronged, mutilated, and murdered in this very house, returning to claim what she believes is hers. This is a true horror story, a story of Romadinaz Babak. Let's begin. Our story opens with a young man named Dipto. He is standing in front of a house that looks like it has been rotting in the jungle for a century. It's the kind of place that makes your skin crawl just looking at it. The paint is peeling, the wood is dark with mildew, and it's swarming with geckos, hundreds of them, crawling over every surface, watching with their unblinking eyes. Dipto speaks to the camera, his voice hushed, almost a whisper, as if he's afraid the walls might hear him. This house, he says, is still full of geckos. It's as if the house was built just for them. He sweeps his arm across the room, showing us the tiny lizards clinging to the walls, the ceiling, the furniture. Then he turns to us, his face serious, the playfulness gone. This story, he warns, is a ghost story. So now you need to get serious. Dipto tells us he wasn't the first one to live here. No, he takes us back to 1992. Back then, he was a little boy living in a village in Bali, Indonesia. It was a simpler time, but for Dipto, it was a time of embarrassment. We see him standing on the sidelines, hiding behind a tree, watching the other kids zooming around in fancy electric toy cars. Dipto didn't have one. He was too ashamed to tell his friends, too proud to ask, even though his heart ached every time he saw them laughing and racing. He just stood there, a lonely figure in the background, wishing he could disappear. Suddenly, the sound of a motorbike breaks his melancholy. It's his sister Lisa and her husband Dimas. They ride by and they spot Dipto hiding. They tease him gently, calling out to his friends, letting them know he's there. Dipto's friends run over, excited, urging him to come play. But Dipto is desperate. He makes excuses. The battery is dead, he lies. I have to go home and play with my little brother. The lie hangs in the air. He didn't even have a little brother. His friends offer to give him batteries to help him charge it, but Dipto pushes past them, leaving his handmade leaf car on the ground, and runs home, defeated. That night, the atmosphere at home was tense. Dipto's father, Yoko, had big news. He had been promoted. But this promotion came with a catch, a big catch. For the next year, the family had to move to a remote forest outpost. Yoko was to be the forest officer, guarding the jungles. And he had secured a job for Dimas there, too. They were all going. Dipto was furious. He didn't want to leave his friends, his school, his life. He refused to eat dinner that night, storming off to his room in a rage. His mother, Sassy, followed him, trying to calm him down, but Dipto was inconsolable. He hated the idea. But Sassy knew her son. She knew his weakness, or rather his desire. Look, Dipto, she said softly. If your father does this job for 1 year, he'll get a good bonus. Enough money to buy you an electric car. Not just any car, but the most expensive one you want. Dipto's eyes widened. The anger faded, replaced by a glimmer of hope. A year is a long time, he muttered. Better late than never, his mother replied. Dipto looked at her. Then I want the really expensive one. Deal, Sassy promised, And just like that, the family's fate was sealed. A few days later, they were ready. The sun was beating down as they packed their lives into trucks and onto motorbikes. Yoko and Sassy took one bike with Dipto, Demise, and Lisa, followed in a truck loaded with their belongings. The journey was long and arduous, winding deeper and deeper into the dense, unforgiving jungle. They reached a bridge. It was old, rickety, and as Yoko's bike crossed it, the engine sputtered and died. They were stranded. They had no choice but to walk the rest of the way. The jungle was oppressive, a cacophony of strange noises. As they walked, Sassy looked up into a massive banyan tree. She froze. Sitting high in the branches, silhouetted against the moon, was a figure. Just sitting there. Yoko looked up, dismissing her fear. "It's probably just a monkey," he said, trying to keep the fear out of his own voice. But Sassy wasn't convinced. She saw the figure move. And then she heard it singing. A low, mournful melody drifting down from the tree. It wasn't a monkey, it was something else. Something human. Something dead. They hurried the rest of the way, terror nipping at their heels. When they finally arrived at the house, the truck was already there, and Dimas was unloading. The house was imposing, but there was something even more ominous standing beside it, a small stone structure that looked like a miniature jail. It was dark, cold, and radiated pure evil. Dipto stared at it, fascinated and terrified. Lisa, trying to lighten the mood, teased him, but their mother snapped at them. "Stop it," she scolded. "We are in a new house. Behave yourselves." The sun had set, and it wasn't even 9 o'clock yet, but the silence around the house was deafening. No traffic, no city noises. Just the hum of the jungle. Lisa, heavily pregnant, sat outside, feeling uneasy. Dimas reminded her, "We aren't in the city anymore, Lisa. We are in the middle of the jungle. You need to change your habits. You need to sleep early." Sassy joined them, looking worried. "You're pregnant," she told Lisa firmly. "You shouldn't be outside at night. It's not safe." Just then, the rumble of an engine approached. 2 men on a motorbike arrived. It was Salim and Kasno. They were Yoko's subordinates, also assigned to this post. They looked terrified. They had planned to come tomorrow, but the villagers had warned them. Tonight was Kliwon Friday, the most dangerous night in the Indonesian calendar. A night when spirits roam free. Salim begged Yoko to let them leave for the night. "Sir, please," he stammered. "It's Kliwon Friday. We can't stay here." But Yoko was a man of duty. He shook his head. "The forest is most vulnerable to thieves tonight because everyone is too scared to leave their homes. We have to patrol." Salim's face went pale, but he couldn't refuse. They were forced to stay. Yoko ordered Dimas to stay inside and protect the women. Dimas agreed, settling into the house with Lisa. Lisa couldn't shake the feeling of dread. "This house feels haunted, Dimas," she whispered. "I don't want to stay here." Dimas tried to comfort her, but she was too on edge. She lay down, trying to rest, her eyes scanning the dark room. Then she saw a gecko crawling on the wall. It was normal, really, but in that atmosphere, it looked like a monster. Lisa screamed, scrambling out of bed. Dimas rushed over, laughing, and smacked the gecko against the wall, killing it. "See? Just a lizard," he said. But for Lisa, it wasn't just a lizard, it was a sign. Outside, Salim and Kasno were patrolling the jungle, their flashlights cutting through the darkness. They were terrified. Every snapping twig sounded like a footstep. "Salim," Kasno asked, his voice shaking, "do you know the history of this house?" "She," Salim hissed, clamping his hand over Kasno's mouth. "Don't say that name. Don't talk about it." But Selim knew, they all knew. And the fear was eating him alive. Suddenly, back at the house, Dipto woke up. A noise had pulled him from his sleep, a scratching, a thumping sound coming from outside. He woke his mother. Sassy listened. It was coming from the small jailhouse. They went outside to investigate. The sound was unmistakable. Something was inside that jail, trying to get out. The flashlights of Salim and Kasno flickered in the distance. Sassy called out to them, but the 2 men were paralyzed with fear. Selim, ever the trickster, pushed Kasno forward. "Go check it," he urged. "Be brave, Kasno." Kasno, naive and wanting to impress, marched towards the jail. But as he got closer, he saw it, a woman's hair, caught on the rough stone, glowing in the moonlight. and the smell, a rotting, fetid stench that made his stomach turn. He ran back, screaming. Selim had locked himself in their room, refusing to come out. The two men cowered in the dark, listening to the noises that echoed through the night. The next morning brought no relief. The sun rose, but the shadow over the house remained. A local elder named Salamat came to visit. He watched them unloading the truck, his eyes filled with sorrow. "Why did you move into this house?" Salamat asked Lisa, his voice grave. "This place is haunted." "People have died here," Lisa shuddered. "What do you mean?" "During the Dutch colonial times," Salamat explained, "this was a prison. Thieves were brought here, they were tortured. They were killed," Yoko overheard and interrupted, annoyed. "Stop filling their heads with these ghost stories, Salamat. We are fine." But Salamat didn't stop. He warned them. He told them of the spirits trapped in this jungle. As Dipto left for school with his mother, he saw the banyan tree again. The figure was there, watching. He didn't say a word to his mother, but he felt the gaze burning into his back. Days turned into weeks, and the hauntings escalated. Every Kliwon Friday, something terrible happened. Doors would fly open. Lisa would see Dimas in the yard, only to find him in the kitchen moments later. Dipto's toy car would roll across the floor on its own. The air grew cold. The tension in the family was snapping them apart. Yoko, always the skeptic, refused to believe it. He spent his days in the forest, unaware of the terror his family faced at night. But Sassy and Lisa were reaching their breaking point. One afternoon, Lisa was hanging laundry in the yard. She looked down at the white sheet and froze. A dirty, muddy handprint was right there, in the center of the fabric. She hadn't put it there. And then a voice. A woman's voice, faint and desperate, calling out for help from the direction of the jail. Lisa spun around, terrified. When she looked back at the sheet, the handprint was gone. That night she heard footsteps in the hallway. She thought it was Dimas returning from the forest. She opened the door, ready to scold him for being late. But the hallway was empty. The terror reached its peak when Dipto was walking home late one night from school. The fog was thick. Suddenly, he saw them, a funeral procession. People carrying a coffin, walking slowly toward him. Dipto tried to run the other way, but from the opposite direction another group appeared, chanting prayers. He was trapped. With nowhere else to go, he ran toward the banyan tree, the one with the singing ghost. He hid there, trembling until the figures passed. Selim and Casno were also suffering. They were terrified of the storage room. Every time they had to put something away, Selim would trick Casno into going alone, leaving him to face the darkness. Eventually, they broke down and told Sassy and Lisa everything. They knew about the history. They knew the danger. Sassy confronted Yoko. "We have to leave," she pleaded. "My son is in danger. My daughter-in-law is pregnant," Yoko argued with her. He had a responsibility to his job. He told her to stop being superstitious. Responsibility? Sassy snapped. "You have a responsibility to your family. When you fulfill that, you are never here. Dimas is useless. We are alone with these ghosts. Another wife?" Dipto piped up from the corner, his eyes wide. "Are you going to marry another woman?" Yoko looked shocked. "No, I'm working. There is no other wife." Dipto, practical as ever, turned to his mother. "If we leave now, Dad won't get his bonus." "No bonus means no electric car for me. Do you want me to be the only kid without a car?" Sassy sighed, defeated by the logic of a child and the stubbornness of a husband. She promised Dipto she would buy him the car herself if they had to, but she wasn't giving up the fight. The mystery deepened one day when Dipto, feeling brave, cornered Selim and Casno. "Tell me the truth about this place," he demanded. "Or I'll go to Salamat." Realizing they had no choice, Selim confessed. He took Dipto to Salamat, who revealed the dark history of the house. It was the story of Mimin, or her full name, Rukmini. Years ago, during the colonial era, she had fallen in love with a Dutch soldier. He was married, but he promised her the world. Mimin was young, naive, and soon she was pregnant. But when the soldier's wife found out, the soldier did the unthinkable. He blamed Mimin. He accused her of theft to cover up the affair. He stripped her of her dignity. They cut off her finger, the thumb of her right hand, as punishment for the theft she didn't commit. They threw her into the small jailhouse beside the main building. She was pregnant, alone, and terrified. She wasn't allowed to see anyone. Not her lover, not her family. She gave birth in that dark, damp cell. And on Kliwon Friday, the night of her greatest pain and despair, both Mimin and her newborn baby died. They died alone, unloved, and full of hatred. The house became a vessel for her sorrow. The geckos, they were the only friends she had in life. Now, in death, they were her eyes and ears. And she was waiting for another baby. When Dipto tried to tell his father, Yoko wouldn't listen. He gave Dipto some pocket money and sent him away. Dipto took the money, lied to his mother, and went to school, trying to forget the horror. That night, the forest patrol was underway. Dimas, Yoko, Salim, and Kasno were out there. Dimas was exhausted. He fell asleep near the stream. Salim, thirsty, went to get a drink. But as he lifted his bottle, his injured hand trembled, and it slipped. Water spilled. He looked up, and there she was, Mimin, standing in front of him, her eyes hollow, her form terrifying. She screamed for help. Selim screamed back. He ran. He found Dimas and the others rambling about the ghost. Kasno, skeptical, twisted Salim's injured finger to prove he wasn't faking. Selim howled in pain. It was real. Back at the house, Sassy was boiling water for a bath. She stepped away for a moment, and Lisa entered. Seeing the water, she assumed it was for her husband. She took it to the bathroom, but when she opened the door, the room was empty. The water kept running. She turned around, and Dimas was standing there. But it wasn't Dimas. The face was gaunt. The eyes were wrong. He ran into the bathroom. Lisa grabbed a towel and waited. She heard the water running. She called his name. No answer. She pushed the door open. The room was empty. No Dimas, no water, just the cold, empty tiles. She ran out to her mother-in-law. I saw him. I saw Dimas. He's not back yet, Sassy cried. Lisa was certain. She had seen him. Had he become a ghost already? That night, the nightmare truly began. Lisa was sleeping. She was having a vivid, terrifying dream. In the dream, she was giving birth, but the baby wasn't human. The midwife was Mimin, a grotesque, rotting corpse standing over her, taking the child. Lisa woke up screaming. Her mother and Dipto rushed in. She was shaking, covered in sweat. It was just a dream, she told herself, but it felt so real. Why do these dreams only happen on Kliwon Friday? Dipto asked innocently. The room went silent. The next month, Sassy took matters into her own hands. She wasn't going to let the ghosts win. She prepared the house. She planted bamboo stakes around the perimeter. She sewed cloves of garlic into Lisa's clothes. She made Dipto scatter salt in every corner. Yoko came home to find his house looking like a witch's den and laughed. What is all this nonsense? But Sassy stood her ground. I don't care if you believe or not. I'm protecting this family. The days dragged on. The tension between Yoko and Sassy was unbearable. They argued constantly. One afternoon, Dipto saw Lisa walking into the forest. She was smiling, waving at him. He waved back, but then he realized Lisa was standing right next to him in the yard. The woman in the forest wasn't Lisa. It was something wearing Lisa's face. And that woman. Her feet were bleeding, leaving a trail of crimson on the jungle floor. Dipto's blood ran cold. He watched in horror as the figure turned toward him. It was Mimin using Lisa's face to lure him. Dipto ran. He ran into the jungle, deeper and deeper, until he collapsed in a graveyard. And there, in the center of the graveyard, sat the ghost of Mimin on the banyan tree, singing her sad song. Salamat appeared out of nowhere. He grabbed Dipto. Don't look back, he commanded. Never look at the spirits. He tied a talisman around Dipto's neck. Keep this hidden. Don't tell a soul. When Dipto finally returned home, safe but shaken, the family was frantic. Lisa suddenly went into labor. It was too early. There was no time to get to a hospital. The baby was coming. It was a stormy night. The wind howled like a banshee. Selim and Kasno were so scared they fled their posts, racing back to the village, leaving Yoko to guard the forest alone. Inside the house, a midwife was called. Lisa screamed. And finally, a baby girl was born. For a moment, there was joy. The sound of a newborn crying filled the haunted halls. But the peace was shattered that very night. It was Kliwon Friday. The storm raged outside, the power flickered and died. The house was plunged into darkness, lit only by flashes of lightning. Dipto woke up to the baby crying. He walked to the room. He saw the crib. He saw a hand. A ghostly hand reaching through the window toward the baby. He screamed. Sassy rushed in. The window was empty. The baby was safe. But then it happened. The room filled with geckos. They fell from the ceiling like rain, covering the floor, the walls, the crib. Thousands of them. Lisa was paralyzed with fear. Yoko rushed in, his torch sweeping the room, but he couldn't stop them. And then, amidst the chaos, they realized the baby was gone. The crib was empty. Panic seized them. Lisa screamed, searching the shadows. Sassy grabbed a knife. Yoko ran into the storm. They tore the house apart. They ran into the jungle. Salamat! Salamat! They cried. The elder appeared. He knew. He knew Mimin had taken the child. She wants a baby, Salamat said grimly. She lost hers. She thinks this one is hers. Salamat prepared a ritual. He sat in the center of the room, chanting, burning incense. He fell into a trance. His spirit left his body, traveling to the realm of the dead. He found her, Mimin. She was in the spirit world, cradling the baby, whispering to it. They are my only friends, she said, gesturing to the geckos crawling around her. The living don't respect us. But in death we will be feared. Salamat confronted her. Give the child back, Mimin. The child belongs to the world of the living. You cannot keep her. Mimin shrieked, her face twisting into a mask of rage. Leave! Leave my world. She summoned her power, flinging Salamat away. Back in the real world, Dipto heard a cry. The baby. It was coming from the old jail. He ran to the door, but it slammed shut, locking him in. The house was shaking. The ghosts were loose. Mimin appeared in the hallway, floating, her head severed, her body a grotesque mass of rage. Lisa fainted at the sight. Yoko grabbed a gun, firing blindly, but the bullets passed right through her. Salamat, returning to his body, was weakened but focused. Mimin, he commanded with all his spiritual strength. Release the child. Mimin lunged at him, but suddenly a shadow appeared from the window. It was the ghost of the Dutch soldier Mimin's lover. He had stayed behind, bound to her in death. He grabbed Mimin, holding her back. He looked at Salamat and nodded. Salamat seized the moment. He chanted the final prayer, severing Mimin's hold on the physical world. Mimin and the soldier vanished into the darkness, their screams fading into the wind. And then silence, the doors creaked open. Dipto ran to the storeroom. He kicked the lock. Inside, lying on a pile of old rags, was the baby girl. She was crying, but she was alive. Lisa grabbed her, clutching her child to her chest, tears of relief streaming down her face. The sun began to rise, casting its light over the jungle. The storm was over. They didn't wait another day. Within hours, they packed their belongings, they left the house, they left the jungle, they left the ghosts behind. Salamat told them, Mimin's spirit will always be here, but you must never come back. As they drove away, Yoko finally admitted his wife was right. Lisa hugged her mother, thanking her for saving her family. And Dipto, he grew up that day. He wasn't just a boy who wanted a car anymore. He was a boy who had seen the other side. And what about the car? Well, Dipto finally got it. His mother kept her promise. But the story doesn't quite end there. Years later, we see Dipto again. He is a man now, sitting on the porch of that very same house, or a place just like it, playing a harmonica. The sun is shining, but the woods behind him are deep and dark. And standing in the shadows of the trees, watching him with a look of twisted affection, is the ghost of Mimin. She never really left him. And in the final scene, we see Dipto as a young boy again, walking into a toy store. His mother is with him. They are buying him that electric car. He picks the one he wants, his eyes shining. The shopkeeper goes to the back to get it. His mother goes to the next store for food. The shopkeeper returns, but it's a young woman who hands Dipto the box. Dipto looks at her hand. The thumb is missing. He looks up into her eyes. She smiles at him, a cold, knowing smile. It was Mimin. She was still there. Always watching. Always waiting. This is the story of Romadinaz Babak, a reminder that some houses don't just hold memories, they hold the dead. And sometimes, no matter how far you run, the spirits follow. Thanks for watching. If this story chilled you to the bone, make sure to subscribe for more tales of terror from around the world. Stay safe and always check the corners of your room before you turn off the lights.